people are talking about AIs drawing tattoos now. I mean, they can't do Japanese tattoos yet, but maybe they will. I had a big conversation with a client yesterday about this. Will AI figure out how to do backgrounds at some point? Who the fuck wants a robot tattoo, right?
I think people get tattooed because, there's not a lot of real stuff left in the world, and it's all like a 24-hour news cycle. Nothing lasts. With tattooing, it's blood, it's pain, it's permanence. When you get that needle in your skin for the first time, you have to be there. You can't just call it in. You have to sit there and take the pain, and then sit there and heal it, and then you got to live with the consequences of your action.
Good morning. Welcome to the East West Podcast with your host, Horisumi. It's been a while since I've done a show. Just been busy, man. I keep threatening to do farm videos and stuff, and man, it's just, I don't have a fucking camera person. I'm just out there doing shit. It's windy. It's fucking cold. Nighttime's like -5 at my farm right now. Celsius. Daytime's, 5 to 8 degrees. So, and sometimes where I live, it's very, very windy. So I haven't really had the chance nor the gumption to shoot much content maybe in the summer. I want to, but wanting and being able to are two different things sometimes. But I thought I'd do a little video today because it's been a while. I think this is going to be more of a philosophical video about tattooing and stuff, so brace yourself for that if you're into it. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately was since the CrowdStrike crash that happened, a few weeks ago, where all the airlines and hotels and banks and grocery stores and payment processors and all these places went down due to one bad file being pushed up through a Microsoft update. How fragile society is, And I did a little video about spending cash and how cash is important. And, most tattoo shops are cash, right? I mean, tattooing has always been a cash business. Ever since I've been a tattooer for 31 years now, everywhere I've worked, the traditional way of tattooing and running a business was as a cash business. In my shop, everybody is an individual operator. Well, they have their own ABNs, and it's all cash, right? Just for accounting's sakes, let alone everything else. But I was thinking, like that CrowdStrike thing happening, and so many terminals got bricked. I mean, grocery stores you couldn't pay with card. Hotels where all the reservation systems were bricked. The airline reservation systems were bricked. If you're running an iPad, if you do all your drawing on an iPad and there's a bad Apple update one day, it could very potentially brick everyone's iPad. And I've seen it happen before. Years ago, they had some bad updates that caused a lot of problems. And so, I talk a lot about being analog and only using, paper and pen and coil machines, and, I tattoo by hand. And, yes, I like it because it's tradition. And I like it because of the end result. And I enjoy the process. This is all part of it, right? It's also the satisfaction of doing things the hard way, the satisfaction of being fully immersed in the tools of your trade and fully immersed in the process from beginning to end, making needles, making ink, tattooing by hand, drawing on paper, all that stuff, right? And that's I love that. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't want to do that. And I catch flack, like on my YouTube channel, a lot of people call me a Luddite, and why do I hate the rotary pens, and why do I go on and on? I'm obsessed with iPads because this is this is what I like to do. It's like you're questioning why a chef would like to do things the old school way to create nice food versus putting food in a microwave, right? It's just horses for courses. But the philosophy behind this as well is that I like to be completely in control of my process and what I do. And if Chinese tattoo supply companies shut down and the iPad stop working and your rotary pen burns out of motor, or they stop making cartridges for whatever reason, right? Or who fucking knows, right? A lot of people would be impacted, And I find that, tattooing used to be a trade, a craft by people who were, handsy, right? You had to know how to tinker with a machine to make it work. You had to know how to make needles. Yeah, at one point you had to know how to make ink. Definitely, you had to know how to draw with paper and pencil. You had to be technically proficient in several disciplines to be a good tattooer, right? And that was part of the craft, right? And so now, and that also, caters to a specific type of person, a specific type of mindset. And the cream really rose to the top because you had guys that were good with the technical stuff, and then you had the guys that were good artists and had a good eye for composition and a good eye for color, and you blend that together and you get an amazing tattoo artist with an amazing body of artwork, right? Which is what we all aspire to be. And that just doesn't seem to exist anymore, and I find that sad. We're losing a lot of the art, we're losing a lot of the heart and the soul of tattooing in this way. This is why I go on and on. I'm obsessed, with this kind of shit, and I won't shut up about it, so fuck you, right? If you look at Japanese sword making, from the tradition, right, where they got the ore out of the sand and they made their own kilns and they refined the steel and they smashed it 300-400 times and they flattened it and folded it and they made these swords that were fucking masterpieces that to this day sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, all made by hand. Everything, that whole process was no machinery, no robots, no CNC, no hydraulic presses. It was all done by hand. And this is fucking beautiful. These are the swords that have souls in them, right? And then, you fast forward to when they started making everything during the Industrial Revolution, or a little bit before that, where they were just knocking them out super quick, using refined steel. And the quality really suffered. But they sold a lot more, right? But it kind of took a lot out of sword making, and you really, the people that were making them by hand became fewer and fewer as they became more in the industrialized process of making the swords. And it's kind of the same with tattooing. It took me years, decades before I did my first bodysuit. It took me years to get good at doing Japanese, maybe because I'm retarded, or maybe because there was no reference, or maybe because there was no one else fucking doing it really at the time, that you really had to strive for it. But it took time to build up a foundation of tattooing, and to build up and to create big bodies of work, right? It just takes time. And now what I'm seeing people that, maybe came through here as an apprentice for fucking 5 minutes and didn't even pass the initial phase, and I see them online and they're fucking painting bodysuits and they're this is 2-3 years later, full scale tattooers. They've gone somewhere else and done the 2-month apprenticeship, and I look at that work and I was like, I'm not a hater, dude. I just, if you care about tattooing, there's how do I explain it without sounding crazy, right? There's mass commercialized tattooing. People just want to get covered, they go to Thailand, they go to Bali, they go to the fucking apprentice, and they just get heaps of shit put on them and whatever, right? And then you've got the real tattooing, and and there's a lot of really good people doing great work that have amazing histories, and they really part of the craft of tattooing and how they execute their tattoos and the artwork. And look, I'm still a student of all this. This isn't me on any trip, right? I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal here. I aspire, right? And I think about this a lot because, I'm old now, right? I'm going to be 53 this year. And all these young up-and-coming kids that have never made a needle, never tuned a machine, never mixed ink, never drawn on paper, they're churning out this fucking big Japanese stuff that they're tracing out of the plethora of fucking books out there, or they're using the iPad with the pre-made fucking stencils. You know, I just see the degradation of the soul of tattooing, right? And that's, you know, I find that sad, right? I find it sad because I love nothing more than working with my colleagues here and the guys I see that put in the work and they're proud of what they do and they struggle with it. That's, you know, I have so much love for that, right? I care about that, you know. And then I see the guys that don't, the guys that, you know, whip stuff off, make a fucking bullshit stencil, you know, and it's a fucking job to them, like a plumber or an electrician, right? You know, that dichotomy, right? Those two schools of thought, right? That's what kind of, you know, I wrestle with in my head, right? Should I give a shit? You know, I mean, yeah, I should, because I care about tattooing, right? I want to see tattooing do well. And, you know, and everyone's talking about AI and robots, and, you know, people are talking about AI's drawing tattoos now. I mean, they can't do Japanese tattoos yet, but maybe they will. I had a big conversation with a client yesterday about this. You know, will AI figure out how to do backgrounds at some point? Who the fuck wants a robot tattoo, right? I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a huge cohort of people that want to go get the little robot fucking thing here. But would you want a sleeve from a robot? Would you want an AI drawn sleeve? Right? And I mean, maybe some people would because they fucking hate people. I don't know. Right? I have no fucking idea what motivates some people. But if you have any ideas about this, put them in the comments, right? I'd like to hear your take on it, right? If you'd like an AI to draw your tattoo or a robot to tattoo you down the track, right? So these are things we're all going to have to wrestle with. And I see the evolution of tattooing from, like, say, what I do to what the new kids are doing with the pens and the iPads and the prefab stuff. And obviously the next evolution is the AI, right? We just, oh, hey, Siri, draw me a dragon sleeve with a cherry blossoms and a cloud background. And then, okay, make stencil, right? I mean, that's going to, you know, if we look at how things are evolving, that could be the next step in 5-10 years, right? And is that, you know, is that what people want? Is that how we want to see things go, right? I'm very analog, you know, like, and self-sufficient. These are the two things that drive me, right? Whether it's at my house where I have to cut all my own fucking firewood to keep my house warm during 6 months of the year. Pretty fucking analog, right? Hard work. But I love it, right? I love having that process, right? And it's the same with tattooing. You know? So, well, I guess we'll see how it goes. For me, though, look, man, doing Tabori and switching to traditional style in the last sort of 7 years wrecked my fucking body, but I don't regret it because I love what I do. I might not go, if I had to do it again, I might not go sit on the floor cross-legged for 4 years because that's caused some damage to me. But the process of Tabori and fine-tuning it all, I find incredibly satisfying, right? And drawing on paper, I find incredibly satisfying. And I encourage you, if you're a tattooer, try it, man. Try going back. Try going back to coil machines. I'm not saying everyone needs to do Tabori, but go back to coil machines. Try drawing on paper. See if it brings something out in you, something a little more creative. You know, and if you're a tattoo customer and you want something, you know, that's going to last your whole lifetime, right? Seek out the people that are doing it for the right reasons. Seek out the people that care, right? I think this is important, you know? And, yeah. I think relying too much on technology for a handmade craft is a pitfall. I think if you get lazy, if you're using, you know, these iPad templates that do a lot of your drawing for you, you know, it's definitely a pitfall, right? So that's my deep thoughts for today. I'll get some other ideas for video. I'm gonna keep it short today. I'll make another one next week. But that's the takeaway, right? Is tattooing should be a meritocracy, and it should be based on people's skill and people's devotion to the craft and people's dedication to what they're doing, right? And that, you know, and by removing all the technical handicap help and all the technical advances, and you just bring it down to just the person, that's a meritocracy, right? And you're going to get a much better tattoo with a lot more soul and a lot more realness to it. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.